got good flavor. It's one of my favorite steaks. Hey guys, Katie with Butcher Boy here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about our corned beef and how we do this process. So in this barrel I have next to me, we have our 3 different cuts that we do. We do a corned beef brisket, we do a corned beef cross rib roast, and we do a corned beef flat iron. All excellent options, all really great, just kind of depends on the end piece of corned beef that you're looking for. What I'm about to do here is I'm about to do some jet netting. So we're going to take these pieces, and this one here is a shoulder clod, a little bit bigger. What we do is we just bring it around. We're kind of going to just stuff it in this hole, and we're going to push it through, straight into that netting, so you have a piece of corned beef. Now what this netting does is it helps it hold together a little bit better, helps cook a little bit better. It's just going to hold that muscle group together, make it a little bit more sturdy. So we cut them down to size, but when we cure them and stuff, we leave them whole. So now we're going to go ahead and net up one of these beef brisket corned beefs. Now this is your traditional one. This is the one you're going to see in grocery stores most of the time. It's just the most traditional used cut for corned beef. And just like that, you've got a corned beef brisket ready to go. Alrighty guys, so now we're going to go ahead and do our flat iron. And this flat iron is part of the muscle group that makes up what we call a shoulder clod as butchers. So that's going to be part of this muscle here. And we just go ahead and separate those out. And the reason we do that is because they're going to take different cooking times. This muscle you are going to want to break down a little bit more. So we separate those out. That way you get an even cook here, and then you get an even cook here. So now that we've got them all jet netted, they're pretty much ready to go. The only thing that we do different is we'll cut them to size. We'll leave them as they are. We'll sprinkle a little pickling salt on there because who doesn't love corned beef with pickling spice? And so yeah, talking a little bit more in depth about the muscle groups, your flat iron is pretty awesome. There is a piece in there that you're gonna have to break down. So that one's better to go a little bit lower and a little bit slower as far as cooking time. It turns out really great though. If you like a little gelatinized piece in there, you're gonna love that guy. It's got good flavor. It's one of my favorite steaks when you turn it into a steak, but otherwise it makes an excellent corned beef as well. Your shoulder clod, that one's really awesome. It's gonna be a little bit leaner, so my recommendation with that one is also a little bit slower, a little bit lower, but you don't have to go as long as you're gonna go on that flat iron, because there's really not a lot in there that you have to break down. So that one is really good. If you're looking for a little bit leaner of a corned beef, I always recommend this guy. And then back over to our traditional one, we've got our brisket. This is what we call full packer brisket. So you've got your point and you've got your flat on there. We're more than happy to separate those two out for you if you're looking for just one side or the other. Your flat's always gonna be a little bit leaner. Your point's always gonna have a little bit more fat. Personally, I lean towards the point because I like that fat in there. That adds flavor, that adds tenderness, it adds juiciness. It's awesome. Ultimately, you can also cook just one whole piece by itself and it'll be delicious. Any way you do these guys, you're obviously gonna wanna add some liquid, whether that's beer, whether that's broth, whether that's even cider. We've had a couple folks do that as well. So the options are endless, and any one of our crew members can give you excellent cooking tips on how to do any one of these guys. And during St. Paddy's Day, these are amazing, but just remember that we carry them all year round. So all year round, we have 3 different options of corned beef, and they're all excellent to try. To touch a little bit more about what the process of corned beef actually is for folks that don't know. So what it is we start with any other cut of beef that you would take. So we've got our shoulder clod, we've got our flat iron, we've got our brisket. We take that raw piece of beef, we actually inject the brine, which is salt, sugar, and liquid. We do throw a little pickling spice in a bag, and we throw that in our brine as well to add just a little bit of extra flavor. So what we do is we pump the corned beef to a certain percentage. Once we do that, we put it into our vacuum tumbler and we let that roll for about 4 hours. Now what that does is it removes the oxygen, helps pull that brine into the muscles, helps get that brine all the way through. So that brining process is really what makes the corned beef. You know, that brine goes all the way through the muscle, you get a nice beautiful red piece of corned beef, and yeah, that's the major difference. So raw product versus brine product, corned beef.